Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Okay, let's dive right into this because today we're looking at the fascinating mindset of one of the most pivotal figures in modern tech, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. We're going to unpack his incredibly unique philosophy on artificial intelligence, what it actually takes to lead at the bleeding edge of innovation, and the intense personal drive required to just stay there. Based on some really candid recent interviews, we are going to break down exactly how this guy's brain works.
I hope to die on the job. Wow. That's an intense statement, isn't it? I mean, most people are dreaming of retirement, of finally stepping away, but when you're at the helm of a company, driving the absolute greatest technological shift of our generation, well, your perspective completely shifts. This isn't just about being a workaholic. It's about seeing your craft as your ultimate life's purpose. And to understand why Jensen Huang feels this deeply about his role, we first need to understand how he views the massive wave of AI that his company is powering right now.
So, let's get into Section 1, the AI Ambition Paradox.
Right now, there is this massive global conversation going on, and let's be honest, a little bit of panic about what happens when everyone suddenly has a hyper-powerful AI assistant. Will these tools just do our thinking for us? Are we all just going to get lazy? Well, to answer that, Huang suggests we look back at this timeline. In the 1980s, the personal computer showed up. People asked, is this going to make us lazy because tasks are automated? Then in the 90s, the internet gave us literally all human knowledge at our fingertips. People seriously wondered if we'd stop being smart because we didn't have to memorize things anymore. By the 2000s, the mobile cloud put the whole shebang directly into our pockets. Throughout this entire timeline, computing performance increased by literally 1,000,000 times. But think about it. Did we actually find ourselves less busy? Did we become lazier thinkers? No way.
And this brilliantly illustrates the paradox. The expectation is always that automation creates this huge void of free time and laziness. But the reality? We get vastly busier. Why? Because our ambition scales up right alongside our tools. The things we can even attempt to do today are infinitely greater than what we could try 30 years ago. As Huang points out, graduating students today are just 100 times smarter. Their exposure to the world, their capabilities, their knowledge, it's all heavily augmented by tech. Technology doesn't shrink our workload, it actually explodes our ambition.
Moving right along to Section 2, torturing talent to greatness.
So, if the macro environment is all about this relentless scaling of ambition and lightning-fast technology changes, how do you actually manage the humans building it? Well, that brings us to a somewhat controversial aspect of his leadership. I'd rather torture people to greatness than to fire them. Okay, it sounds incredibly harsh at first glance, right? But delivering this kind of tough love is a core pillar of his philosophy. He isn't talking about being malicious here. He's talking about the intense, friction-filled process of forcing highly capable people to reach their absolute maximum potential. Let's break down what this quote-unquote torture actually looks like in practice.
Huang compares his management approach to what he calls a Taiwanese parent leadership style. Rule number 1, nothing is ever quite good enough. The bar is literally always moving. Rule number 2 is immediate, constant criticism. He doesn't save feedback for some quarterly performance review. He gives it right then and there, directly and critically. But the third rule, and this is absolutely crucial, is the anchor. Once the feedback is given, he is right back to loving the person instantly. It's this incredibly tight feedback loop. The relentless criticism is entirely driven by his deep belief that the person can be better and his genuine desire to help them get there.
Now, you might be thinking an environment with that much intense, immediate criticism would just lead to massive burnout, but consider this number, 33. That is the number of years some employees have stayed with NVIDIA. 33 years! NVIDIA currently boasts some of the absolute highest employee retention rates in the entire world. And that proves something fascinating, right? Highly talented people actually crave this kind of rigorous, truth-seeking environment. As long as they know the leader fundamentally cares about their greatness, it generates world-class loyalty.
Which brings us to Section 3, the anatomy of drive.
Now, that level of intense management, it takes a massive toll. So what actually gets a leader of this immense magnitude out of bed every single day, working 7 days a week to push the boundaries of computing? Well, he said it himself, I'm exhausted all the time. It's such a vulnerable and deeply relatable admission. Behind all the flashy keynote speeches and the soaring stock prices is a very real, tiring physical reality. So if he's that exhausted, what is the engine keeping him running?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the heavy paradox constantly colliding in his brain every single day. On one side, we have the burden. He's driven by this profound fear of failure. He feels an immense weight of responsibility to his employees, his partners, and his entire ecosystem in Taiwan. He desperately doesn't want to let them down. But then on the flip side, you have the dreamer.
He is incredibly hopeful and optimistic. He wants to actually build the future. And crucially, he's in a tremendous hurry to see those dreams come true in his own lifetime. So he's constantly squeezed between the terror of failing his people and the breathless ambition of inventing tomorrow. It's wild.
And compounding all of this drive is history. As he says, past struggles never leave your body, they become your character. You know, building NVIDIA wasn't always a smooth upward trajectory. The company faced incredibly difficult times and almost failed completely. Huang explains that when you struggle that deeply, the trauma and the lessons become permanently wired into your character. It literally never leaves you. It keeps your brain constantly turned on, constantly thinking about the work, because you know exactly how fragile success really is.
Finally, let's look at Section 4, a legacy of empowerment.
When you're driven by that intense mix of burden, optimism, and past struggle, how do you actually channel it into the future of your company? How does Huang view his ultimate purpose as a leader? Look, NVIDIA is undeniably a giant global corporation today. Yet Huang insists on operating it as the world's smallest large company. How do they manage to stay so incredibly agile despite their massive size? It comes down to one thing: empowerment. Instead of this stifling top-down micromanagement, leadership at NVIDIA is all about empowering thousands of other leaders throughout the organization to make decisions quickly and totally own their work.
So, the crucial point here is that Huang sees his ultimate job as creating the conditions for life's work. First, empowering others. Second, realizing shared dreams. Third, and this is so unique, integrating family. Both of his kids work at NVIDIA, and his wife Lori has been at virtually every single conference and major moment in the company's history. And finally, providing incredibly meaningful work. He isn't just out there offering jobs, he's offering an environment where incredible minds can turn their craft into their ultimate life's calling.
Which leaves us with one incredibly powerful final question. Are you creating the conditions for your life's work? Whether you are managing thousands of people or just leading your own solo career, it is so worth asking. Are you surrounding yourself with people who actually challenge you to greatness? Are you driven by a vision that gets you out of bed even when you are totally exhausted? Jensen Huang's mindset shows us that the future isn't just about faster computers or smarter AI, it's about the relentless human ambition to build something deeply meaningful. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep pushing, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.